Ágnes Heller, köszöntelek itt a parlamentben. I'll continue in English. What I think is not self-evident to those of you who don't know Hungary, and I'm afraid the Hungarian language serves as a terrible barrier, is that there's a very, very deep divide which is mapped onto party politics. It's an ontological divide. There are two narratives on practically any issue you care to mention. I have said in the past that there are left-wing restaurants and right-wing restaurants in Budapest. The quality of the cooking is almost certainly equally good. So if you take it from this perspective, what you have heard is Ágnes's narrative. It is perfectly legitimate, it is fine in its own terms. It's just that there are other narratives which you will necessarily not mention. I will, because I come from the other side of the divide. And first of all, the criminalisation to which Ágnes you referred several times, it's not that there is a single authority in Hungary which says, oh, we press the button and there will be criminalisation. There are institutions in Hungary, there are legal institutions which have their autonomy. They're not necessarily, as you seem to be implying, under the control of political power. So if you are talking about criminalisation, it's to do with what the prosecutor decides. And if the prosecutor is launching investigations, we know there's a very considerable number of investigations which have been launched, given the level of corruption under the previous government. Don't be surprised. If anybody is found guilty, then they're found guilty. Otherwise, it seems to me, and this of course does refer to the so-called philosopher scandal, if there is no malfeasance of any kind, then we have nothing to fear. I think Hungary is actually a state of the rule of law. Let me go on to the next point you made. And maybe you'd like to withdraw the word servility. It is actually highly offensive, certainly to me, although I don't care. But there are a number of Hungarians sitting in this room. I don't know that they would really want to be called a nation of serfs who are capable only of servility. I don't think Hungarians are mindless robots. In any case, if Hungarians are mindless robots, then how come that you, Ágnes, constitute an exception? How come that you are not servile? I don't think I'm servile either. The concentration of power and the way in which you suggested there is only hierarchy, only obedience, this does imply very clearly to me that Hungarians have no professionalism. They are totally under the control of whoever the political power happens to be. I don't think this is correct, and I think you would acknowledge yourself, or at least I hope, that this is incorrect. That Hungarians do have professionalism on both sides of the divide. There are perfectly competent lawyers, there are perfectly competent philosophers even on both sides of the divide. Finally, one thought for you. Now, you talked at length of the media law, and I don't want to go into this. In fact, I spent a great deal of time talking about the media law. If you characterized various things as fairy tales, now, if the media, which appeared in the right-wing press, if the media do tell fairy tales, then don't you think it may be a good idea to have a media law to stop newspapers from telling fairy tales?